Coronation Street viewers are convinced that Gary Windass is keeping a major secret, with many now believing he is doing it to protect Sarah Platt. The former couple have sparked speculation not only among fans of the ITV soap, but also among Weatherfield residents who have begun noticing how close they have become. One person particularly suspicious is Gary's wife, Maria Windass. Gary and Sarah have repeatedly stood up for each other, especially since the death of Theo Silverton. As fans will remember, the abusive character died on the night of Lisa Swain and Carla Connor's wedding, with Betsy Swain later discovering his body. A murder mystery soon unfolded, and Coronation Street previously identified Todd Grimshaw, George Shuttleworth, Summer Spellman, Christina Boyd, Gary Windass, and Danielle Silverton as the main suspects. Viewers recently watched Summer face murder charges after the available evidence appeared to point directly at her. Tyrone Dobbs also falsely claimed he had seen her on the night Theo was killed while the victim was still alive. Last week, Sarah's boyfriend Kit Green questioned whether Maria would be willing to provide Gary with a false alibi. At the same time, Maria challenged Gary about his growing closeness to Sarah, prompting him to immediately defend himself. During Wednesday's episode, a guilt-ridden Tyrone finally informed police that he had seen Summer on the night Theo died. Later, while conversation turned to the murder in the Rovers, Gary appeared noticeably uncomfortable. After Gary left the pub, Kit followed him outside and reminded him that he remained his leading suspect. Gary insisted Kit would need evidence to prove anything, but his reaction suggested he was deeply worried. A flashback then revealed Gary standing on scaffolding on the night of Theo's death, gripping a mallet. He was shown looking down at Theo's motionless body below, in the same location where it was eventually discovered. However, it was Gary's earlier conversation with Sarah, in which he questioned why he had become trapped in a web of lies, that convinced many fans he was not actually responsible for the killing. Instead, viewers increasingly suspect Sarah may be the real culprit, despite the fact that she was also attacked that night by Jody Ramsey. One fan wrote, "Gary seems too obvious. I think Sarah used the weapon. Gary heard the disturbance, took it from her, and then realized what had happened." Another viewer commented, "I believe Sarah killed Theo, and Gary is covering for her. Even though he's married to Maria, Sarah has always been the love of his life." On Reddit, another fan suggested that if Theo's son Miles was responsible, Gary would have no reason to protect him, but everyone knows he would do anything for Sarah. Others echoed similar theories, with one person saying Sarah must be involved and Gary is helping her hide the truth, while another claimed Sarah killed Theo and Gary has been covering up her actions ever since. A further viewer predicted that the full story would reveal Sarah striking Theo before Gary arrived, removed the weapon from her hands, and looked down to see the body. Coronation Street. What happens next after Sam's shocking revelation? Nick Tilsley was left devastated in the latest episode of Coronation Street as Sam Blakeman's mental health crisis took a dramatic turn. The teenager has been battling psychosis for several weeks, becoming increasingly convinced that people around him are plotting against him. During the latest scenes, Sam's struggle became impossible to ignore when he lashed out at Roy Cropper. Now that his family finally understand what he has been going through, the question remains whether he can begin to recover or if he will continue distancing himself from those who care about him. The episode opened with Sam being tormented by another hallucination of Roy, which fueled his growing paranoia. He headed to the pub to watch Will Driscoll, who was busy playing a violent video game. The imagined version of Roy warned Sam that Will was preparing to harm him, causing the frightened teenager to flee. A bewildered Will ran after him and followed him to Roy's Rolls, where Sam locked himself inside. Will and Leanne Battersby attempted to calm him down, but their efforts failed. Moments later, the real Roy emerged from the cafe, leaving Sam terrified as he struggled to understand how he could be seeing two versions of the same person. The hallucination insisted that what Sam was witnessing was a trick and claimed that Roy was dangerous. It then urged him to attack in order to protect himself. At the same time, Nick, Toya, and Nina Lucas arrived, with Nina managing to unlock the door just as Sam lunged at Roy. After being injured, Roy explained that Sam had been experiencing hallucinations before the teenager fled the scene, triggering an urgent search. Sam worried that his father intended to have him locked away, but Nick reassured him that he simply wanted to take him home. Later, however, Sam was horrified when they arrived at a hospital, though he eventually allowed himself to be guided inside. In scenes airing next week, Nick struggles to cope with the reality of his son's condition and directs his anger at Ben Driscoll. He blames the pub landlord for failing to recognize the danger posed by groomer Megan Walsh and believes earlier intervention could have prevented Sam's suffering. Elsewhere, Sam asks to meet Roy following the incident at the cafe. Whether he wants to apologize for his actions or has another reason for reaching out remains to be seen. Coronation Street reveals details of Cassie's departure as mysterious newcomer shakes things up. Coronation Street has unveiled fresh details about Cassie Plummer's upcoming exit storyline. The character is due to leave Weatherfield later this year, bringing her 3-year stint on the soap to an end. It had already been revealed that Tyrone Dobbs' biological father would be central to her departure, and new information has now emerged about how the storyline unfolds. Tyrone's father, Ross, enters the picture after Hope and Ruby uncover his identity while researching their family history using their dad's DNA. Keen to make up for lost time, Ross arrives in Weatherfield hoping to establish a bond with his son. His arrival, however, leaves Cassie deeply unsettled. She had finally found the stability and sense of belonging she had long been searching for, only for Ross to threaten everything she had built. According to Cassie, Ross has a troubling side that others fail to recognize. While he presents himself well and hides his true nature, she fears the impact he could have on Tyrone and the wider family. The situation is made even more difficult because of their complicated past. Ross was connected to Cassie during one of the darkest periods of her life, when she was battling addiction and working as a teenage sex worker. His sudden reappearance forces her to confront painful memories she would rather leave behind. Adding to her worries, Cassie is now happily involved with Steve McDonald and is desperate to keep certain parts of her history hidden. Ross's return threatens to expose secrets she does not want Steve, Tyrone, or anyone else on the street to discover. After finally earning acceptance from those around her, Cassie fears everything could unravel. Despite the heartbreak involved, the storyline promises a dramatic and emotional farewell for the character. Earlier this year, it was confirmed that the actress would be leaving the soap after securing the role of Miss Hannigan in a touring production of Annie. Looking back on her decision to move on, she admitted that saying goodbye to the show was incredibly difficult. Filming her final scenes proved especially emotional, leaving her struggling to hold back tears as her time on the cobbles came to an end. Coronation Street continues airing on ITV1 every weekday evening at 8:30 p.m., with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.